Cheer, guys. Welcome
Hi,
to another
Claudia.
beautiful gathering with all of you. It's so cool to see you with all these beautiful backgrounds there
Morning,
and your
Bella.
smiles. Ah, Bella is there. Yeah, Bella is there. Cool. It's very early in
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. Very cool to see that you
But
are
I
joining.
think this is the farthest we can stretch from Australia, Darwin, to Rio de Janeiro.
That includes all the time zones in between.
Yeah, I wasn't. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna appear on video in a couple of seconds, but
Mm.
I wasn't gonna wake up, and then a mosquito bit me, like literally 5 minutes before 7. So I was so upset that I was like, I might as well get up. So here I am.
Mm.
And in insecurity, I guess there's something about the mosquito and getting me out of security of the bed.
Well, I seem to have
Anyways,
called that mosquito up because I just commented of Anne's mosquito net there in Bali, so just in time to have you join us.
perfect.
Cool. So we will be talking about security and insecurity and actually our full expression and kind of allowing us to express in our full authenticity. But how do we do that if we don't really know what our true authenticity is, because all of these insecurities have built itself deeply inside of how we see the world and how we react. So we kind of forgot that we even have them.
Mm-hmm.
So
We have talked quite a bit about authenticity and what it is being yourself and what stands on the way. And actually, this full moon is putting full emphasis of on exactly authenticity. So, but the is your willingness to be authentic as strong as the sum of all your insecurities? That's the question. And our insecurities, they're the obvious ones and the ones we have transcended and the ones that are still sitting there and just change the labels and adapt it to our spiritual kind of work. Those are the same kind of insecurities, but we wouldn't ever admit them. So we thought it's cool that we kind of make it this session very open, very honest and vulnerable, and really collectively look and help each other to see how our insecurities from plain and recognizable have actually morphed into more subtle and changed the title but are still sitting there.
yeah, so we will try to see what are the insecurities that we still have in, and we will ask that let's share and see what can be perceived at this moment. And maybe the best way to kind of approach the question is, can you answer the question of what you are not currently doing because of some deep-seated insecurity that you still have in? So what are you not doing because of some insecurity that you still hold?
Another version can be, what are you doing because of insecurities? What are you doing
Overcompensating.
too much or something that you wouldn't otherwise do, but being driven by insecurities?
Yes, Jive. And unmute yourself, please.
Oh, cool. I'm learning how to run this thing. Hardly. The only time I ever use Zoom is with you guys. It's good. Well, if I was going to pull a tarot spread, the first card that would come up, or the two, would be the Hermit and the Magician. And you could probably transpose them or put them together or whatever. And these two guys seem to be having a really interesting time. For me, I think the really huge thing is allowing to be seen. I don't think it's an uncommon thing. allowing to be seen for all the things that I'm really great at, and I know I am. So it's not like I've got to like try and figure it out or anything. I've gone way past that. I don't need anybody else to tell me how good or weird or whatever anything I am at what I do. Although people do sometimes when I allow myself to go out amongst them. So I think that's it. For me, it's allowing myself to be seen for all the brilliance that I am instead of hiding,
Mm.
which is fine. I can sit in my room and I can play to the marina and to the beach and I have fantastic posts. The birds come and they chirp, I feed them, whatever, they all love it. Everything's cool. Energetically, it helps, I suppose, the collective and me or whatever is the combination of things. And that doesn't really matter for me anymore, to be honest. But I just started to allow myself after a year or nearly two to actually connect with people. I have musicians living on the same floor as I do. And I only found out a few weeks ago. And the guys asked me to jam with their band last week at a bar, and it was just awesome. And I sort of thought, why am I not doing these things? I had this great show that I put together 10 years ago with Sylvie and Barley, the Magic Lives Here show. Magic lives here. Here is anywhere you happen to be. It's not just here in my room. Here is everywhere I go. So, and I go, and it's brilliant. And I'm sort of going, yeah. And it's not about anybody else or anything else or being a big shot or making a ton of cash or all of those things. I don't really, I mean, I like money, I like abundance, I like things, I manifest a lot of stuff, a lot of things come to me anyway, so I don't have a kind of issue with, I need something, it turns up, someone gives it to me, drops off, I trip over it, you know, or I buy it. So it's not about, you know, oh, I need to go out and do what I'm good at to make money. If it happens, fine, but I would prefer other ways for the cash to come in so there isn't the pressure of, oh, this is my work, because that actually sucks. I don't know if you guys are sort of, you know, this pressure of, oh, you're really good at that, so you've got to go out and make a great living and get a billion hits on Facebook and all this other usual crap, which is meaningless because it's all propped up by ego, which is meaningless. So at the end of the day, it's just like, what are we really doing, and why do we do the things that we do? And it just comes down to me because it's fun, and because it's expansive, and because you get a rush, and because there's a good feeling, and that should be enough. Anything else is whatever.
Cool.
Doesn't matter.
Yet you are not allowing yourself to be seen for some reason, so we will be looking into that.
Yeah, so here I am. No,
Well, it's great to see you, by the way. When you're allowed to be seen, I love what I'm seeing.
But I'm now actually allowing myself to start doing that and finding that it's quite appreciated and people are noticing. People come and go, oh man, great, and I'm going, oh gee, thanks. And it's not even why I do it. And I think this is the whole thing. In the past, it was like I would go out just so people would go, oh man, this guy's a real cool bitch and bass player or amazing friggin' classical pianist or something. And as you probably know yourself, being a musician in various forms, that can be a really bizarre trip, and going through all of the things to do with that, and the struggling musician and the this and the that, and all those weepy, stupid things we get taught, which don't work and just make you feel terrible about your art. So for me, the last 2 years have been a hermiting, so I don't do things the normal way everybody does it in 3D with the same bullshit expectations and the same emptiness that comes with it, and just do it in a way that is fun, enjoyable, and come what may. Allowance, I think, is the word we're looking for here. Anyway, I have said enough. Your turn.
Wow, beautiful,
Wow.
Jai. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
And this is
We will keep preciously the allowance, because that's one of the remedies for insecurity. Allowance. Actually allowing things and situations that we are afraid of. Allowing to be seen, that's a big deal, because that's what we are hiding the most. That's what insecurity is protecting, because it thinks it is insecurity when it's not seen. Right? So it's very fundamental what you just
And you brought another
brought
point.
up.
I will just single it out so that we don't forget to go there. And this is the new way of doing things. And the new way of doing things that is coming now with this huge upgrade that we are going through is literally going to be that all forcing, all even the little bit of this patriarchal type forcing how to do things must go. None of this can survive.
It would just not
So
work.
everything that we used to do out of that place, that we must this or we must that.
I'm a musician, so I must perform.
Exactly. Or it's something. I'm good at something, so I must call it work. Or any of this that you have mentioned. This ends in 2019. It's just not going anymore. That's completely finished. So just a note. We will get back to that. Thank you for pointing it out. It's great reminder. Yes, we are recording. So we have Eleonora, then Uwe, then Bella.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so very interesting topic, and I can somehow relate to Jive also as to be like seen, and that you mentioned about doing the things the new way, and it's like now at this moment I have like really I want to do it the new way, but I have those insecurities about the mostly about that I was doing, in my childhood, whatever someone expected of me to do, I guess. I think so. So like from parents, and I don't know, from boyfriends, etc. And now like I feel that I kind of took the first step, that I left my job. So and now I want to go with the flow, kind of, and do my thing. So, but I guess I need to get out of the insecurities or whatever is holding me back to just start. So, yeah. And the new way, of course, not the old way. And yeah,
Wow.
that's I guess. Yeah,
Could,
I'm there.
could
Finally.
couldn't be a better moment for you being Aries. This is full moon in Aries. This is
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna find out who I am. And I'm just going to do exactly the way I feel, and screw the the insecurities. So and you have I know you, so you have such an immense courage and inner discipline, so you can totally make it your way, and it's gonna be amazing. And yes, insecurities are the ones that keep directing us in the ways that we don't want. We keep doing things because of that. And now you just took it in your hands. Bravo.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about that, and actually about some other astrological influences that are making us do that now. Thank you for the sharing. And then we have Uwe, and then Bella.
Yeah, what Jive said actually, and Eleonora corresponds really well with my topics actually. And Eleonora, 9 years ago when I left my job, that was the best thing ever. So you will see. Anyways, um, but like I have more the topic, where on the map do you put, or do I put myself? And one anxiety I have very much so is I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living. So this is one of the topics, and I think this. And then the insecurities, and so if those things come together, where do I stand? And um, the fear of not living enough puts me in a position where I do a lot, but then it's exactly I do a lot of things, and letting go of some of them is a bit of a problem for me. So that is one of the things. Maybe I wouldn't call it insecurities, but um, keeping myself busy with lots of projects, which I really love, and they are close to my heart. Some more, some less, but so this is one of the things. Rather than, as Jive said, the tarot card. The tarot card I recently draw was relax, trust life, and yeah, I think coming back to that, when I left my job 9 years ago, it was very easy doing nothing. I mean, not in the beginning, but over time, it felt really, I was healing myself, and it helped me a lot to understand what I want to do and where I want to spend my time and my energy with. But now the energy is, yeah, it keeps on flowing out, maybe on too many occasions, and that's one of the things. I want to be more authentic, but also only give the energy into things I really believe in and I really that are close to my heart. So seeing my heart more um, as a guiding light, where to go, and coming into this is yeah, the current challenge, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you're highlighting this, what I just mentioned, that sometimes, when we have done so much work on ourselves, our insecurities have learned to shut up and to sit quietly. They are not very visible, but they do have exterior signs, and one of them is doing too many things. So that's for sure. And we have piled little list of how insecurities speak, so that you can answer those questions within yourself, and you'll see where are you doing out of insecurity and where are you doing out of wanting to fully live and fully express, and you would do it no matter what appreciation you get for it. So it's a dialogue with oneself, and we'll get to that. Yes.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's very subtle.
Yes. Thank you. So we have Bella, then Vanita, and then Anna.
And then Sylvia.
And Sylvia after, huh? Bella.
Hey guys, I'm very much. I've gone through that hurdle of also like quitting my job, which was also the best thing ever, and allowing just like to follow my dreams and to and that part I've been able to follow through and be really. I started singing, which is something I was really afraid of, and showing myself even. But I feel like like you start that road of following your dreams, and then you get to the point where at some point you have to completely let go of control and jump, right? And I feel like every time I get to that point, I get frozen, and it's this need to control, I believe, which is something that I've had ever since I was a little child. I think I was so like responsible and the perfect child and all of this, and in a way I had to control my environment always, like at least that's what I imagined. So in a way, the more I control my surroundings, the less I allow things to happen and reach their greatness, so to speak, right? So and I've had glimpses of like what happens when I allow things to happen, and it's like really magical and beautiful, but I still have that intense fear of losing control completely and allowing things to happen. That's one, and associated with that is what Uwe said, just doing way too many things instead of focusing on the one or two things that are really important to me. And this goes for jobs, relationships, everything. Just like being afraid of picking one road and going that road and saying, okay, like the other road can go into whatever, either be taken at some other time, or just like leaving my options open, like, oh, what will happen if I go there, and then I will lose that option, and then the other option, and then like, what if the other road, like the first road that I picked didn't work? So again, control. So, I've been doing this a lot, so I know I need to stop doing that in order to live my dreams like fully.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bella, great. Like this, millions of people would sign under what you just said, because that control gives us this feeling of being in security, right? That nothing super unpredictable. So especially no one can really see me, because I choose who will see, and only approved people can interact, and the environment, nothing will challenge my insecurities to come out. And that's where this actually questionnaire to self helps, because with these openly answering the questions, am I doing it out of this or that insecurity, will help to filter out why you are doing things. Because we don't ever go too deep in the decision making. We're more rational, but we don't question, why am I really doing, what do I really want out of that. So I think in the remedy to control is this radical self-honesty and radical self-acceptance, as Jive said, and allowing life actually to live through you.
Yeah, yeah. This overabundance of choices is mind's way to try to not miss some of the possible activities, and the soul has its own indication what is the real one, and not the one that you can kind of just. But we'll go deeper into this.
Yeah.
This is an important one, because a lot of us actually act and live from the mind, and mind is very good at making lists. And once that we make lists, then we do everything that's on that list. And if we don't, then we feel guilty. But why is that list there anyway? Because in every moment there is the right way to do, and our essence knows it. But mind doesn't, and it's afraid of not knowing.
And if you meditate on the concept of fear of missing out, you will understand what stands under fear of missing out. It's like the
FOMO.
biggest insecurity that we can have is that we will miss something better than what we have. Yeah, and that's why we either don't do anything or do everything.
Anyway, yeah, we will get deeper
Yeah.
into
I'm
this.
definitely on the spectrum of doing everything. So, but it's the same as not doing anything, really. Right? It's the
Exactly.
other side of the coin.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bella.
thank you. Vanita, are you still wanting to share? Or?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to say that I'm very much very similar with Bella and also Jive. I think the fear of not wanting to be or fear of being seen. But I think that it's interesting because that one was more fear of being seen by certain group of people rather than that I'm okay to be seen the rest of the world because I'm a performer for dancing. And but like it's more of like, oh, what if my like the therapist, the counselors, the psychologists and all, like you're supposed to have this persona of like, don't tell them what is going on in your personal life, right? So and don't project it and don't whatever, so that's one of it. But I did kind of I wouldn't say completely overcome it, but I started a YouTube channel, so that's a big deal for me, and but that was more of the, yeah, anyway. And the other thing that the thing that came up for me earlier was more of fear of following my intuition, because it really freaked me out last week, like 2 weeks ago or something. She's like, okay, 16, you got to go to a place and you just got to go. And I'm like, how am I going to leave? We're not even allowed to leave my country yet. I'm in Malaysia, and we have to have, like, it'll take at least about 2 weeks or a month at that time to kind of get permission slip to go, and I need someone from that country to actually send a letter or something to say that they need me there or something. And I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I don't know what do you mean? And then the worst part is that this intuition was so freaking strong that somebody else is dreaming about it and calling me and saying, you know what, I dreamt that we both were that. And I'm like, oh man, I'm projecting all this to other people. And there's like a couple of people did that, you know, so I'm like, oh, okay, what is it? So, I mean, I just had to calm myself down because I think for me it was more of like if I acted out of fear, I think I'll be just too freaked out. So it's more of like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to take my time. I'm not going. It's supposed to be today, 16th of October. Get out and go somewhere. I mean, that particular place. But it was so interesting. And also the other thing was that I identified with. There was also the control freak in my head. You know, like, oh, I need all this to be perfect before I leave, and blah 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 blah. You know, that kind of thing. You know, so yeah. So I am a little bit more aware of it, but that fear of like just going. Not that I've never went with my intuition. I have, but it's just took me a much longer to actually get that. It's there, you know. It's not. It's in the sense that it takes instead of like going, leaving, dropping everything and just going. It's more of like, okay, I need to take the steps before whatever necessary steps. Not every single organized thing, but you know, it takes me a bit longer than it says. Drop everything and go today. It's not going to happen, you know. So there is still the control freak thing there, but you know, but it's a bit tamed, so it's all right. So that's what I want to share.
Yes, Vanita, thank you. Well, insecurity is the biggest enemy of intuition. And we know that intuition speaks to all of us, well, louder or more quiet, but insecurity is what actually beats that voice down and gives reasons. Yeah. and and it's a big deal. But when you know where your insecurities are, it's easier to, you know, just let intuition speak freely and without judging it. And about performer, I love that you said, like, about being seen. How would you be afraid to be seen if you are actually performing? But it's a known fact in psychology that the main performers, like the super mega stars, are actually utmost insecure people, and they have gathered millions of people. They need exactly a million people to tell how good they are to kind of you know, soothe the extreme insecurity, as well as, you know, small men that have to conquer half of the world to soothe the insecurity about the small size. So, you know, the greatest people you would never think of have built an Everest, an empire to cover small little insecurity. So you're right. Being seen by public doesn't necessarily mean that you are open to be seen as a person.
Yeah, or dancing in front of them is absolutely different than having to speak, because it involves completely different set of insecurities.
So thank
It's
you for.
interesting because I'm also a lecturer, so yeah, I am speaking. You know, so I've got like a different
You
things
have.
that I do. But as I think it's yeah, you're right. It's just that I don't want people to see
You.
the me, especially my clients. You know, like I can't be seen that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Because they might find out that you're also a human being, you know? Big deal.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anita.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna.
Hello, everyone. It's beautifully how you actually already started covering my question, because like what happened to me recently, I would have like this kind of like sudden intuition about something that was like absolutely not, I mean, I could not verify it, right? And then I kind of noticed how I could easily, or how like other people kind of like explained it away, you know, for me, you know, with like, oh, my trust issues or this or that. And I kind of also believed it because, you know, like growing up in the home I grew up in, I know it's maybe not so easy for me to trust. And that's where my insecurity is, you know, like right now, I mean, this one at this moment, like, where do I know that is my intuition speaking to me, and when do I know where it's actually my own insecurities or my own like programming from my childhood interfering with something. So that is, where I am a little bit confused about at the moment.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a wonderful point, Anna, and this is really, that's why intuition is a tricky one, because we don't know what is speaking. Is what I'm feeling and calling my intuition actually my need to stay in my comfort zone, and this is what's speaking, or is it like my urge to escape the current situation and I call it intuition? I have an intuition I need to travel, but I actually cannot stand being here because something is bothering me about this environment that I don't even want to look at. So it's a big one, discerning the true voice of intuition out of this myriad of voices that we are hearing that are kind of competing to take us into the direction of their own. This is really a serious problem that we need to work on. And of course, the answer is purification and consciousness. It's actually being conscious of what inner voices I have and what they're trying to suggest to me, and then actually doing the deep inner work to understand where they're coming from and then releasing them. And that's actually the spiritual work that we are all involved with. It is kind of dropping one by one the parts of us that are not us.
The worst thing that doesn't help us to get this sorted is that intuition and insecurities are locked in the same place. They're both coming from root chakra, so they're both sitting there, and guess who speaks louder? Yeah. Guess who is more insisting? So it takes really patience to decode and to really observe yourself. Who is suggesting, who is speaking? And intuition has its ways of speaking, and insecurity has its way of speaking. And when we understand our own language of our own insecurity and our own intuition, then this question doesn't even exist anymore. Which is which? Well, eventually we will get rid of insecurities altogether. But yeah, not easy. Well,
Yeah.
wonderful. Then we have Sylvia, and then we start, I guess.
Sylvia, yes, please. And Sylvia, we need you to unmute. We don't hear you. You didn't want to share? I thought I saw your hand. Okay. Okay.
That was a
sounds
hi.
good.
Okay.
Good. Okay, well then we can jump right in. So, one of the most important things that we can kind of understand on this journey is what are the different flavors of who is speaking in our head, and really understanding from where that inner suggestion or where we need to go can come from.
And maybe let's give the definition of what is insecurity, because that's also something we never think of. Insecurity is actually misinterpreting the reality in favor of a wound. Yeah, things are what they are. They don't mean anything, or people don't mean to kind of hurt you on purpose, but we hear it in a certain way, and we interpret how the way people look at us or what they said. We create a context for it, and the context is suggested by the wound. So insecurity is misinterpreting the reality in favor of a wound.
And here is an example of that. This is how all of these insecurities have been formed. We have experienced something in our childhood or later life where we have associated certain response and we call it reality. For example, somebody's looking at Evia, let's say, because we spoke about that earlier today, and they're looking at her because she's beautiful. And what her mind
that's
is
not what I
saying,
would think.
what her mind is saying, oh, look how they're looking at my nose because I have an imperfect nose. So it's complete misinterpretation of what is happening, but it is now kind of starting to mean, they're looking at me because I have a big nose.
So
Nobody, for example, I was looking at her because I loved, oh, look how beautiful nose. But what she's perceiving is, oh, they're looking at me because I have an ugly nose. So all of a sudden, this becomes the reality. People look at me because I have big ears. They look at me because my voice is awful.
or I'm too small, too fat, or too something.
My favorite was my height. My mother used to say to me, oh, but you are so beautiful, such a beautiful man, only if you were a little bit taller. And to me, what this completely kind of came in and became, I started being attracted to women who are taller than me because of this becoming my reality for a long time, until I have kind of decoded this and released it. So these are some examples of how it can look. I think it's my preference. Oh, I like tall women, whereas it's actually my mother's preference about my height, nothing to do with me nor the reality. So that's how they are seeded.
Insecurity is a mental concept that we have built by ourselves. Of course it's suggested from the outside, but we have actually created it because it cannot exist if we haven't authorized it in our system. So, for example, my opinion about my nose is, comparing the girls around, the friends and the magazines. If something is not standard, that means it's less good. So who thought about that? I made that decision. So I opened a drawer, a box, a file, and starting collecting the proofs. You look at this. He looked at me, she looked at me. They must be kind of examining the shape of the nose. And so it goes on and grows into, okay, but maybe not only nose, but plus this, plus that. So we have created the container to receive reality in skewed ways, and we're looking desperately for proofs and filtering out only those that go along with our theory of what's wrong with us. Yeah. And so it goes for every topic, how we look or how we perform, the voice, the talents, expression, money, absolutely every topic of our lives. We have chosen a drawer of how it should be, and then we're measuring where are we at according to our own standard. So perfectionists and Virgos, oh my God, it's the standard is unattainable anyways. So Virgos will be complexed in every possible way because their standards are just out of this earth. But everybody has this set their own standards. Of course, family does help to set standards. If you have a Virgo in a family, of course, they will set a high standard for you. But still, it's you accepting them.
Yeah.
Willingly and unwillingly, it's not the question, but we have let it in. We have opened those files. We have collected the proofs of our own shortcomings, which makes us also the ones in charge to release them. They are nobody else's but ours.
And actually, it's important to point out here that this is exactly how we form our entire reality. What our reality is set of folders, set of files that were our theories that somehow got implanted in our mind, either through our thinking or even more often by somebody suggesting them. And then we collect proofs for our set of files. So there will be a set of files of that I'm easily getting sick. So this is and then out of reality, I remember only those occurrences when I have quickly gotten sick, So I am actually putting the glasses on each time that I accept the file that need to prove the part of my reality. So these insecurities are actually the black files, let's say the ones that are disempowering us. But we have all the other color of the files that we keep collecting proofs for, and this is how we form our reality, which means that if we actually manage to burn all of our files, we will become free again to really experience the world how it is without the files that we have created along the way. So today we talk about insecurities, only the black folders, but it applies to everything else that we have chosen to include in what we call reality.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that we keep huge insecurities about things we can't change about ourselves. So we can't really change our voice, or really, well, with some plastic surgery we can change elements of the body, but you know, it doesn't really make anyone feel better when they do, because they have changed the appearance, but they haven't changed the way they feel about themselves with the plastic surgery. So as everything comes from within, everything is also solvable from within. And we wanted to just point out the ways how we quickly misjudge the situation in favor of our wound. Yeah, in a conversation, like if you're insecure about your financial current financial status, you will dread that the conversation in, like, with people that you meet will come to the money and the famous question, so how much are you making, or what do you do for a living? And then kind of we find strategies how to cope, either saying, oh, I have for now it's not good, but I have giant projects. So we pull out one of our magical cards to respond to
meet the expectations.
Insecurity trigger. So either lying, or talking too much, or diverting the question, or you know, any other kind of cover-up strategies, except the one of being, you know,
fully authentic
and normal about where you are and what you do. So the ways how insecurities speak out, well, we have listed something like, 10, 12.
Yeah, let's go through that, because it's easy to actually not notice some of our insecurities. So we have collected a list of how we express them unconsciously, so that we can be more successful at catching them. So if you can close the you go through the signs of insecurities, and I will put the curtains so you guys can see us.
Yeah, so this goes for it's a little exercise, yeah, and if you want to write down, there's nothing that you wouldn't know already, but we compiled it in one place. And this is this questionnaire that you can really ask yourself, and also spot in others, because everybody's insecurities have similar ways of expression. So when you see someone else doing that, or when you see yourself doing that, this is a good pointer to insecurity, to catching it and fishing it out. So one very prominent voice of insecurity is apologizing. Basically, apologizing is misinterpreting the reality big time. When we apologize for being late,
habitually apologizing. Yeah. Oh, sorry for the. Oh, sorry, I the
nervous apologizing in order to kind of explain yourself or justify your ways. Of course, we don't talk about that you have seriously offended someone and that kind of situation. But this is like typical. I'm late. I don't know what to make up, so I apologize for being late, because I'm insecure of what they will think of me, what kind of irresponsible or disorganized person I am, that I'm late again. or apologizing for any kind of things. We don't have to apologize. We're late. It's a fact, and that everybody deals with, and it has a reason. So, yeah, exactly. It's such a British thing, Eve. We apologize for everything. And actually, it's a very disempowering energy.
Yeah, if you think even about the word sorry, we say sorry so much. Sorry is super disempowering word. You are not supposed to be sorry about things. You have done things and there are
You
reasons
own
for
it.
that. And you own it, and you are really sorry only once in a while when something seriously out of your control had happened. But this habitual saying sorry is super disempowering.
Exactly, and we drum it into children. Yes, because we think that this is somehow preserving our reputation. If we say sorry, we will be excused and we will not have to something, But actually, things are what they are. You're late. Big deal, Other people can deal with it. If they cannot handle, well, they have to work on the issue of impatience and judgment about yourself. So, the things are always perfect anyways. And if in ideal version, we're all authentic and fully chill, we do what we do regardless of someone being or not being there. Yeah. It shouldn't impact anyone or anything. So apologizing for being late or for being too something.
Sorry, I'm too loud. Sorry, my voice today is too raspy because I had like a bad night. Sorry. It's just
sorry,
saying
I'm not
sorry
the
about
best
something.
mom. Sorry, I messed up my life, or I messed up your life. There's not such thing. You don't have that much power of messing somebody's life. We are all messing up our lives, and our lives only. We don't have power over anyone else if it's not backed up by their insecurities. Yeah. So the mantra question for when you have to, find an insecurity: am I apologizing? Am I excusing myself?
Bella, you do it all
Yes,
the
Bella,
time.
you do it.
We know, and we have pointed it out, and we laughed, and actually
Even yesterday,
had you in mind
apologized about your background.
apologizing. So, but this is great. It's a little handle to see where is this coming from. So to catch which insecurity is gonna making you apologize all the time.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for it. So beautiful.
So for those who have this habitual apologizing, well, catch one, the latest you can remember of. Like Bella yesterday apologized for some random background that she had.
On the picture that was completely normal, we wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah, because apologizing actually draws a lot more attention to something that otherwise we would not even notice.
So yeah, wonderful.
So check it out when you catch yourself apologizing or someone else apologizing. Go down the line and see what is the apology about.
Yeah. Who is speaking?
Who is speaking? What kind of insecurity is speaking? So number 2, something we all are guilty of, is over-explaining. Over-explaining why you do what you do and why exactly you did what you did, and like actually adding too many words. More words than are needed for the actual situation. This is covering that you're not actually sure of what you're doing, and maybe in the mountain of words someone will not notice that you actually don't know. So it's the insecurity about how well you can interpret the situation or how well you can respond to the situation. And then the mind kind of tries to help and justify and explain everything around the given situation.
Yeah. It assumes that your acts need explanation. So it means like I don't accept my acting, I don't accept my judgments of reality, so I have to explain you exactly why I'm doing that to kind of justify. It's almost like self-justifying. That's what it is.
Yeah. Again, for example, it goes for the meetings. if you cannot participate in a meeting, are you over explaining your reasons of not being able to participate or to come? Are you giving too much of a context or a detail? Or you are completely fine saying, you know what, this time I will skip, or this time I just can't. And you don't kind of go into being a good person that has a super good reason to not come or not participate. Yeah. So again, who is trying to protect himself by over-explaining? What kind of insecurity? Notice it in you and in others. Am I over-explaining myself?
So these first two are more like, self-depreciating ones. So these are more like passive expressions of insecurity. The next ones are actually active ones. They are more like aggressive. One would be blaming. So blaming somebody else and blaming things.
We know that the best defense is attack, right? So when someone's blaming you, they are actually feeling super actively insecure. They try to swoosh attention away from their shortcomings into you. So because you'll be busy dealing with the blame, so you will not notice the woundedness of the other person. And if you find yourself blaming someone, it's that again you haven't. Yeah, it's over. It takes high mastery to be aware of it in the moment. Really takes high mastery. Usually we can shorten the moment that right after we can be aware. We blame someone for something that they didn't do because that makes us feel better. Because we're such good person, we would never do that. Yeah. So it's a very kind of manipulative insecurity that feels good about someone else failing. Yeah. And a very vicious way, more or less expressive. Some people are actively blaming, some people are just happy that someone else did mistake and how good you feel because you would never do that. Yeah. So praising oneself over somebody else's mistake is a huge insecurity, and really that doesn't have to stay in the system at all. So when you catch yourself blaming someone or being blamed, watch out for insecurity speaking. Same goes for
Judgments. Judgments and blaming, we can almost call them the same, because judging someone is coming from the same pile of inner insecurity. Having judgments means, oh, I know how things should be, and they are not like that, but usually they're mirroring something that you feel that we are not. So
judgment is a favorite kind of switch for feminine gossip. Because the gossipers are so much better than the ones they are judging, and they're all holding together with this feeling, their noses are worse than ours, right? Or they're fatter than us. So the collective gossip sessions are based on insecurities really holding hands and staying tight and being happy that somebody else has worse situation than your own insecurities. So
it's actually, these gossip sessions are actually collecting food to feed our insecurities,
to nurture.
So to feel good.
Judgment nurtures one's insecurities, and when you feel that somebody is judging you, well, don't judge them back, but understand that they are giving food to their own insecurities. It makes them feel better to put someone else down.
Yeah, judgments. You understand somebody is filling one of their folders. So what do we have next? Being overly defensive. Yeah.
Or easily offended.
We go to this.
That's becoming defensive. Yeah. When you're easily offended, like you have. You or someone else, someone, when we say, okay, we deal with raw eggs, that means that you have to super filter what you speak about, what you say, what you don't, because the person will kind of is very susceptible to criticism. It means that insecurities are like skyscraper tall, and anything you say a little bit with a intonation, doesn't even have to be a straight attack. If you say something with the wrong intonation, they'll become hurt and defensive. That means you mean that and it already comes with a body posture. Then you mean, and they're ready to kind of throw the spear. Yeah. When someone is hurt in their insecurity, they become defensive, and then trying to kind of wound you back in the most precise way.
Easily offended. We have like our favorite example is, like somebody speaks something, and then we are kind of laughing or smiling because we resonate on some level, and then the person says, "Why are you laughing at me?" So what do you mean, why are you laughing at me? Nobody's laughing at you. It's like we're just laughing because we are kind of, understanding the situation. But this kind of already a little patrol is out to see if somebody's going to laugh at them. This is one example of this. Easily offended by, nobody even meant to offend the person. But they offend themselves because that insecurity soldier is there looking to get offended.
So, for example, one of my daughters has a really bad sense of orientation. She cannot distinguish left from right or up from down, like it's that bad. And the other one is really good at GPSing. And we have this constant, but when you know your shortcoming and you don't have to be insecure about it, then we can have a lot of fun. So they're constantly teasing each other about this, but someone who is not accepting the shortcoming,
then it becomes taboo.
Defensive. So you can't speak about person's sense of orientation. You can't, make funny example. You can't do anything around that. You have to kind of avoid
the elephant in the room.
And like don't switch. Don't get the matches on in a room full of petrol. So. Ask yourself, are you defending anything? Are the topics that you become defensive? Or can you laugh at yourself when someone points out your shortcomings? Are you able to laugh at them? Are you able to laugh at yourself for what you are not good at? This is paramount for a happy and healthy life, if you can laugh about yourself. And also, if you feel free to kind of tease and laugh about others and actually make them become more at ease with their shortcomings, with a gentle inclusiveness of the shortcomings. So, defensive also comes with kind of explaining your reasons. Yeah, but I did this because. Anything that comes after the comma, because, pure insecurity speaking. When you start explaining why you did things you did, insecurity speaking. So, next one is something that children really learn how to do, is pleasing others for the sake of peace and their own survival. So we have to do it as kids because we depend on other people's kind of taking care of us. So pleasing parents to whichever extent we do, and grows into pleasing partners, and grows into pleasing friends and group and society altogether. So sometimes it's difficult to distinguish when are we doing things unconditionally and when we're doing it to please. So the question here, for those who want to do many things and want to have many friends, so going one by one, friend, project, person, situation, am I doing this because I would do it regardless, anyways, anytime, for no money or for no reason,
and for no audience,
like would I sing in a
by myself.
gathering all by myself because I feel inspired to, or I do it to please others.
Or to get attention.
Am I going and participating in some gathering to please my partner, or I would actually do it myself? So here authenticity is very much threatened because this pleasing others gives us benefits and gives benefits to insecurity. So we're quite eager and quite automatically driven by pleasing others because it's not something that too difficult sometimes.
It's a great question for us musicians, actually. Are we playing the music because we would play it ourselves anyway, because we enjoy the music, or we are doing it to get attention? And this is really a big one. I mean, with musicians, I see this, that, some of them don't have any social life because they are not really wanting to interact, but they enjoy being on stage because at that point, they have this energy of admiration, but there is some sort of deep inner insecurity why they started to play music in front of people to begin with. So that's a big question for musicians. Are we still, and it could be, this is why I started to play music. I really started to play to be popular with friends and girls. And then later it took me years to actually revisit the topic of music. Why do I love music? What really touches me in music? And what would I produce in music even if I sat by myself in a room without anybody? So it's a big question for musicians. Where is this need for attention there and admiration versus what do I really love about music? And another part of that is, when is it music simply in order to actually involve in a collective experience with someone? So if somebody asks me, let's have a gig together, am I trying to be perfect pianist, or am I going to just or a perfect singer? My voice is not good enough, I'm not going to do it. Or am I actually accepting the invitation to involve myself in shared experience? So these are these important questions from where we are doing this.
One of the big kind of dark holes of New Age, let's say, philosophy is around the pleasing others. For example, the therapists would avoid telling really things how they are, and they would emphasize, like your strength, your power, your greatness, and they would only give like good news, yeah? So, because the therapist, in some special kind of healings, they also want to be popular, and they want to be, have a lot of clients. So they know that by telling the truth, they'll become increasingly unpopular. So giving, for example, the readings that give the positive and the bright side of the person by avoiding something that would actually not sound good is not helpful. And
stroking the ego, pretty much.
That goes together with false positivity, which means, I'm happy every second of my day, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful. Self-empowering mantras, they do work to keep the mind busy, but they don't change the way. They don't make insecurities go away. You can paste on your mirror, I'm beautiful. But, even after 1 year, you'll not truly feel beautiful just because you are convincing yourself. You will feel truly beautiful when you will accept and allow yourself to be exactly how you are built and who you are now, with a possibility, with a room for improvement. Yeah, but these slogans, you have to be very careful with the false positivity slogans, because they do not work. They trick the mind into thinking that you're over insecurity, but actually deep down reactions still stay the same. It's a good part if the mind is trained. It's already one thing off, but then you also have it's like a painkiller. If you numb the mind who is telling, oh, you're so ugly, then you might not even notice the insecurity is still there, because mind says, no, you're beautiful, you're perfect just the way you are.
It's number of band-aids over the gangrene wound. So a gangrene wound is going to keep rotting, no matter how many of those. But temporarily, it was not going to bleed. So it's a huge issue. This what Evie is saying now.
Exactly. In that
false positivity, need for false positivity.
In normal society, people are not eager, like very actively trying to please each other. But when we see in certain spiritual circles, they are trying to like over compliment everything and over empower everyone. But it's actually not landing.
Without the real substance, though.
Yeah, it doesn't come from the right space. It comes from this need to please, so it sounds fake. It doesn't feel real. And that's where you have to pay attention. And the question is, am I saying that the person is beautiful to please, so to have benefit and to have it returned to me in the same way? Or am I saying because I actually feel it, mean it, and I own what I say? Or examine when someone is trying to please you, does it sound hollow? Does it sound like a hook seeking for attention and returning of the same thing? Examine what's going on around pleasing the other and receiving false praise with a disguised kind of hook in the meat.
It doesn't even have to be false. Actually, this is a big question for all of us who are doing any kind of spiritual work. It is, when is it okay to actually point out just the positive aspects and not visit any of the negative ones? And we all have, things we need to work on and some things that are super empowering for us. So, what spiritual guides would do when somebody begins their spiritual journey, they will point out towards the possibility of how somebody can be, what are the most amazing version of a person if they visit their shadow as well. But the problem is if we only start sharing with the person only these, these are your potentials, this is your highest potential, and never actually addressing the shadow. Well, if we don't address the shadow, we will always know about what our great potential is, but we will never get there, because we can only get there by actually involving in quite unpleasant work of meeting our shadow. So, very careful if you have your own clients not to over dwell in the positive outcomes that are not going to be attainable if we don't do the deep, honest inner shadow work. So
the ideal way is authenticity in everything you do, how and what you say to people, what you receive from them, and in every expression that you have. So the next expression of insecurity is
being obnoxious.
We're all a little bit guilty of that at some point. When you don't know what to say, you start saying something, to fill the silence, or to, fill it with too many words, or you're speaking faster or speaking louder. So there's all kind of exaggerations that are coming when insecurity feels like you have to say something and you don't have something profound to say. So then you have to fill the gap. But
we can call it actually the fear of silence.
Yeah, fear of silence mixed with fear of, am I kind of smart enough? Am I funny enough? And the situation when a person is kind of nervously trying to speak about the weather or
cracking too many jokes. We have these people as well.
Not giving break whatsoever for a conversation to emerge, because silence needs to be filled with words, because something profoundly uneasy is inbuilt there.
Well, actually, it's easy to say what it is. If we all sat here in silence, what would start interacting is our souls. And really, in that silence, we can allow them to speak without words. And then if somebody's soul there is not at ease with who they are and what they are, they will start sooner or later to start to need some words. And conversely, usually at the end of my Vipassana retreats, after 10 days of not speaking, and then we have this 11th day when we start kind of needing to start to speak, I often have a question: why do I even want to start saying words again? It's so unnecessary to actually even say any words. And it's, that 11th day is always like, it's difficult to say it. Why would we start to kind of understand ourselves less? Because we understood ourselves so beautifully and profoundly in that silence during the 10 days of nobody speaking.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, the boundary is over something, yeah? Over speaking, over dressing, over being too loud, and this inauthenticity is actually glaring. Everybody sees it except the person who does it, yeah? Because it's essential to cover the insecurity, so there's no time to perceive, and again misjudging the reality. So you see the guys with apple green Porsches, or women with like huge brands or huge boobs. Anything that's way too much is proportionate to the insecurity that sits inside. Luxury, when it becomes glaring, is something that a person doesn't know how to own. Yeah, so it has to be stated in these like loud ways. So overdoing everything. Check: are you overdoing something? Are you over speaking? Are you having nervous little laughs when you don't know what to say? Or you're completely fine when you don't have anything to say?
Yeah, actually, here's like the concrete situation, how it plays out. We can imagine that we have a table with like 5 people having dinner together, and there is one person that is a joker. And we always know that one who is going to speak too much and joke too much and kind of speak faster than the need of the group. So then everybody needs to kind of suffer like jokes and a little laughter and all that. Like everybody's sped up in their inner rhythm. If that person would just kind of stop talking, then the possibility of a group having an authentic conversation can start. Because then somebody will speak out of, there will be time for the genuine impetus to speak. So there is, okay, something real came up and let's kind of talk about that. But this one person is speeding everybody up, and literally we are kind of being forced into this, like awkward, forceful evening, if there is a setup like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's insecurity of that nothing is happening if there's a silence. That's people who, like Vanita, you're saying that you gave away your stereo player after Vipassana retreat. Yeah, there's people who cannot sit in silence in any environment. There has to be always
some background noise, yeah.
Engaging noise. So when you see that behavior, you understand with compassion that that's insecurity speaking. Or if you notice things that you are over performing, dive under and see what kind of insecurity is making you do that. It also, another facet is commenting on things. Yeah, just commenting, like empty comments. Like, catch yourself if you're saying things that don't really mean anything and don't need to be there, like empty words, comments that are not necessary and don't mean anything. So then we have the expectations and competition, big threat for insecurities. Every competition is a dreadful risk for an insecurity. Yeah. You know, any kind of
that's a good one.
competition. It can be Monopoly game, you know, but it still works. If you are insecure about your ways, any game, any activity together, anything that someone does better becomes a threat
Oh yeah,
to
that's
the
a big one.
insecurity.
That's
So
a big one.
you can't enjoy the game, you can't enjoy the company, you can't enjoy the fun of it, because there is this need to perform out of insecurity of being
Not being the best.
not being the best. And actually it's super not fun for everyone else, because I've played this kind of intelligent question game with a person who literally knew everything, and it was not fun because nobody ever got any chance even to think, because playing with an encyclopedia guy, well, it's not fun. So we stopped the game halfway because he knows everything, and actually with this kind of super asserting ways. So someone who tries to win because of fear of losing is not a fun person to play with.
But there is a deeper actually thing connected to this, and this is, if insecurity is so deep, we often will choose not to engage in the activity unless we are best.
Unless we're sure that others are less than us.
So this can really lead into the loop of actually choosing friends that are genuinely on a lower level than us, so that we can kind of always have an upper hand in everything that is happening. Well, obviously there is no growth in that situation, and as an example of that is if somebody kind of calls us up, okay, like, can you sing something with us? And you're thinking, oh no, I have an awful voice, so I'm not classically trained singer. So they wouldn't really involved in that. So what they need is, okay, I need 9 years of school in order to say yes to the question today. So it's.
So what you're saying is lowering other people's expectations to cover our insecurities. Like, oh, but I can't sing. Oh no, I don't know. I'm zero in drawing. Oh, I didn't learn how to. Or I loved, Sylvia, your cute. There are also cute ways how to lower people's expectations. When we asked everybody to draw their family in the course, meet the parents, we had all possible comments. Sylvia, yours was the sweetest one. You said, my drawing skills stopped at the age of 5. But believe me, there was not one person who would just calmly send in the picture. Everybody had an excuse coming with it. Like, excuse my drawing, oh, this horrible, or someone wouldn't even dare to do it because I don't know how to draw. It's not true that you don't know how to draw. Well, you don't draw like Picasso. That's reality. He trained, he was talented and he trained.
But it's not a point, and this is not what we expect from you to draw as a Picasso.
But it's incredible when it comes to make me a drawing. This eternal excuse is coming up.
Disclaimer.
To lower the person's expectations, to not be judged by, stickman coming from a 45-year-old person.
So literally, actually, because it's so profound and deep, and there are so many people involved in this, what we mean to offer now as our Club of Life offering will be the classes called Everyone Can Sing, and probably the classes called Everyone Can Draw. So
exactly. When I first came to Bali, this is what I did. I made the classes for adults or children. Anyone can draw, and adult woman who came and said literally, I cannot draw. If you prove me wrong, well, you're the best. And it's such an ingrained insecurity of competition, because we have all been compared at some point to whoever happened to be around us. Well, if we were surrounded by genius, we're done. because then we have no chance of ever seeing, but how do I do it? So many of our talents have stopped at the age of 5, as Sylvia said, because we were kind of not performing to the top, so we didn't give ourselves chance. So I really ask you to ponder on the question, what have I stopped doing? What have I stopped developing because of my insecurities? And please allow yourself to reconsider the question. Do you really don't know how to draw? Can you really not sing? Can you really not something else? Or you have just not allowed yourself to try?
What does it even mean knowing how to draw? You know, like kids know very perfectly how to draw because they just express themselves. But adults start comparing themselves. And this is the problem, because in comparing yourself, you can only be as, half of how Picasso is good, because Picasso is one. But you can be perfect Sylvia or Bella or Vanita. You draw as a perfect your expression, and that's it. So
exactly.
Same goes for music.
Eve, I love your little paintings, and I'm sure at some point you must have said yourself, they're too childish, I'm not sure. And I'm really happy to see that you're posting them, and they're amazing. They're full of energy. So it's allowing yourself to do it regardless of what you think about it. That's at least where you can start. But going down to what insecurity is prohibiting you from engaging in games and competitions of any kind, or even trying new things, because you will not be the best. That's the fact. It doesn't mean that you can't do it if you are not already the best. Yeah, or I can't, these excuses, but I don't speak, like here I don't speak French. Yeah, well, he does. He does, and pretty well. But the disclaimer always comes first, to lower other people's expectations. So the next one in line that ties into this, that you already have to be perfect somehow without even having time to do that, is the perfectionism. Perfectionism, anything Virgo, is super standing in the way of things that you might do or might explore. Life is about exploring. We kind of know that, but how much like who sets the criteria? We do. And why do we do that? Well, because we see what others are doing, and we think that we're not gonna match up. So this is where authenticity suffers greatly, because of this. Once someone has done it to this level, there's no room around it. But there is. It's just, again, misinterpreting the situation and what you could bring as your particular flavor in it. Yeah. So expectation that you have for yourself is even worse than expectation for that comes from someone else.
Welcome.
Claudia, are you saying something? Okay. So expectations, when someone sets high expectations for you, you can understand that they are judging themselves in the same topic that they're expecting you to kind of perform well. So parents would always judge the kids in the topic that was very sensitive to them, even if they are good at it. Because most of the time we're good at something that we're so afraid to be bad at. Yeah? Paradox. But we're excelling in something that we are dreading to be bad at. So we're not good because we actually want to be good, but to mask and to not allow to fail in that particular. So some people that run for money and performances do it because they are so afraid to not perform well. So perfectionism, go down the line and find out in which areas your perfectionism for yourself is actually being upheld by a huge insecurity. And you'll see, even though it seems like a parent has set it up for you, you have accepted it in your reality. And you are the only one who can bring it out. There's no amount, as I mentioned, the huge pop stars that get millions of kind of recognitions. There's no amount of recognition that can soothe an insecurity. It's a desperate and lonely,
it's a
deep
bottomless
hole.
pit.
So there's not even, and that's what you can gift other people as well. You cannot soothe their insecurities by telling how great they are and by encouraging them in what they think they're not good at. You will never convince a pretty girl that she's pretty if she thinks that she's not. It just doesn't work like that. Because that insecurity is a bottomless pit. What you can do is gently highlight where's the insecurity and help to own it and to transform it. That would work.
So that I think we need to talk a little bit about the process of actually releasing those, because this is something that we can concretely work on this.
Mm-hmm. So when you understand that insecurity has one title, I care what they think about me, then you know that insecurity exists only in exchange with the others. If there were no others, you wouldn't even have a chance to experience insecurity, because there's no one that can have that thought or look at you. Yeah. So it only exists in the field with others. I care what they think, or I care what they say. Yeah. Which brings us down to the root chakra, because this is the fundamental existence. I can exist in society when I'm sure that I'm accepted in the society. Very simple, very primitive though, but I can only exist in peace. I can have security of existence when I'm sure that others validate me, accept me, and include me in their group. So that's where the all effort comes from inclusiveness. Well, we have outgrown the times that we really couldn't survive without the tribe anymore, and now we're in a more kind of individual expression-oriented time where we are asked to be ourselves more than standardized and fit in with everyone else. So, as I said, the intuition and insecurities grow out of the root chakra, and they speak in the same time. Intuition, very fast, very precise, and only says it once. Insecurities, they are persistent.
Louder.
They give reasons. They have points, and they have because. So if you're questioning, is it intuition or is it insecurity? Insecurity will give you a million reasons. Intuition will only speak once and has one option. Yeah, as Vanita said, she had strong intuition, but then the mind couldn't fit in, so then we dismiss it. Intuition will never explain why you need to do what you need to do. It's just simple indication of the best possible version that is waiting for you. No explanation needed, no explanation given. The one that explains, remember, point number 2, over-explaining, that's how insecurity speaks. So the way to get rid of insecurities, there are actually 2 ways. In theory, you could have such a massive self-confidence download that would completely grill and wipe out all insecurities. But it rarely happens. Rarely we can manifest such an amount of energy and trust in ourselves and life and divine. Rarely that power, that voltage is stronger than what we have accumulated through a whole life of insecurities. So it's a balance of forces. It is possible if you can manifest a megaton of self-confidence and trust in life.
It's not really that. It's in the moment that you understand that you are the divine that expresses itself through you.
Exactly.
That's it. That's all that's needed. But it really depends how wide is the bandwidth, how thick is your cable, because the energy that it comes with, enough of an energy can flow in if you have kind of worked in thickening that cable, so that the divine energy comes through you, and it's so clear that we are all one, and we are creating, through everything that we are saying, we are creating worlds. And if you are able really to grasp this for even a millisecond, so many of the craps that we are kind of dealing with and questioning ourselves would just become completely insignificant in the same moment. So that's what we're talking about.
But the mental understanding will not help.
No.
It has to be a full kind of embodied experience where you actually realize that being divine and, it's all good the way it is. Unless you realize in every cell of your being that it is so, the mental understanding will never override the insecurities. So if we don't have this blast of energy or instant alignment, then we can go manually plucking them one by one, and there are not that many. There are very reasonable amount of insecurities because they stand under categories. If you answer these, let's say 10 points very honestly to yourself, now in the energy of empowering Aries full moon, you go down and you ask really yourself, am I apologizing? When, how, and why? Who is apologizing? Am I over explaining myself? Am I blaming someone? Or do I hate people that blame others? Like anything that resonates around these topics will point to the insecurities that you have hidden under the carpet, under the bed, in the closet, wherever they are sitting still and trying to pretend, no, I'm not there. But still, if you have any resonance with this behavior within yourself or within the others, go down, follow the line, and find
the source.
The source. And the way to transmute it is very easy. As everything that we own, we recognize, yes, I am insecure about my look or my mental capacity or my art skills. It is the way it is for now. I accept it, I release all the judgment around it, and I give myself space to improve. Or if it's something that you can't improve, like, how many hair are you having on the head right now, then you just accept the number that is there, and you're actually grateful for the little number that's still there. So any condition that you would be insecure about, because we said it's just misinterpretation of reality, you can reinterpret for yourself. Yeah. For example, source of insecurities, Claudia. Yes. Source of insecurity is fear of not fitting in. Yeah.
We said that they are actually source of all insecurities is misinterpreting of the reality. So you believe that reality is something that it's really not. And you have actually so strongly grasped those beliefs that you think that they are a reality. So that's the bottom of the source. There is a misunderstanding about reality that you deem to be true. So that's the source.
Constructed in our head. But because of constant checking, am I fitting in? Am I as everyone else? Because we're not very equipped to deal with being different. We're all black sheeps here, so that's an exclusive company of of people who dare to be different. But oh my God, if you see like a regular classroom, the main fear I see for my daughters is like fitting in or not fitting in. That's the question. Yeah. So we have been programmed to fit in, and we have been programmed to work as a group. So these constructs are always checking how well are we doing on that. But we have a particular one negative way of looking at it, and I'll give you a very concrete example. So my lifelong insecurities that I have, I did a lot of sports when I was young and teenager, so I developed quite, muscular knees. And those knees, they are very kind of, in my eyes, manly, and they don't fit with skirts because
She's totally dreaming, of course, about it.
well, and that has conditioned everything I do in my life. So not wearing skirts, not this, not that, not kind of exposing them, unless it's sports outfit, and then it kind of in my eyes it pass. So imagine I live with a person for 10 years, and one day he just says, "Have you had those knees like this the whole time?" And for me it's like my inner judgment, I told you, that's so horrible, the way I interpret these words and this situation is immediately in favor of the insecurity. I told myself, this is why I don't wear skirts. This is why I don't, because, it's so shocking to people to see those knees. But, there's also the other version. I could have thought, oh my God, the person lived with me in one space for 10 years and only now he notices, the knees.
So there must be many other things that are coming to attention before that.
So what insecurities makes us do is to collect only one version of reality, the one that fits with the scenario of that we have constructed, and we don't even give a chance to look at the question differently. Yeah. And of course it's not about knees anyways at the end, but this is how we think. This is our mechanism of thinking, and if we don't cultivate the objective view of reality, well, this is what we end up with.
We have been together only for 4 years, so I look at the knees in 6 years then.
Exactly. And I tell the truth.
Okay.
So this is how our mind works, and we have to be a little smarter than our mind and catch it in its own delusion. Of course, we have by astrological sign, we have our preferred ways of criticizing ourselves in a specific area and criticizing others in a specific area. But nevertheless, when you catch yourself interpreting the reality in somewhat biased ways and explaining it to yourself, that means insecurity has opened the drawer and collecting one more proof. Told you this is, this is not good. So, as we said, being honest, okay, I think I have those knees. So, logically, what can I do about it? I can really not change the knees. So, I better be in peace with it. And really, when you relax in that, imagine the worst case scenario. And this is what insecurity will never allow you to do. Imagine the worst case scenario. Everybody, like I'm standing in a mini skirt in a public place and everybody's looking, oh my God, how dare she put that skirt with the knees that she has? Like who? What has she done? Poor girl. Imagine the worst that you can. And you will see it doesn't go even that far. And you will catch yourself in your own ridiculousness. So, okay, well, they said it, so what? Then, it's nothing you can change. And then you relax deeper and deeper and deeper into understanding that these knees actually, carry me up the mountains, carry me up the steps every day, up and down, and they're pretty solid, they're well anchored, and they work So
Not to mention that I love them. It's like awesome legs and knees and everything.
aesthetic criteria will eventually smooth out the last, but having the gratitude for this very thing that you're despising, and finding in what other ways you have never looked at that thing that you don't like about yourself will, almost by itself dissolve the insecurity, because bringing the gratitude to any area of yourself, true gratitude and appreciation for your nose, for your boobs, for your knees, for your hair, for your number of teeth, the color of teeth, eyes standing too wide, too close, anything that you actually cannot change, really. But bringing appreciation and gratitude and relaxing into having it exactly the way it is. You're
So-
not eloquent. Imagine the worst case scenario. Everybody's expecting a speech from you at somebody's funeral and you have nothing to say except some stupid comment. Imagine that as vividly as you can and then relax into it. I'm not eloquent. It's not my path. It's, I might have been, or I need more time to be eloquent, or I need more space. I cannot do it on command. Really relax into every insecurity.
But it's like in public speaking, it's not even, it's not even in not doing it. It's like really allowing, if I need silence in this moment, let me drop in a heart and be silent for a moment and actually call in my divine expression, because there is somebody in that group that I honestly care about. So I'll be able to say at least thank you. If nothing else, thank you from the heart to the person in the audience. That much I can do, and that's already enough. Anything on top of that, it's great. But at least something straight from the heart, that's already that's enough, and nothing else is needed. So
Well, I'm receiving empowering messages from Sylvia about the legs. Well,
Thank you,
it
Sylvia.
helps, actually the circles where we are very honest about what is like our most insecurities, it helps. So if you can do it with a friend in a group or anyhow, being allowed to be honest about what you hate about yourself will ease half of it away, because once the mind actually understands, so Claudia, to respond if there's a mind trick, yes, when the mind understands its own ridiculousness, it usually goes, oops, there's really nothing to, like, there's nothing, like, what do I was talking about. The only problem is that we never allow it to go so far. We never allow us to imagine that worst case scenario that we're trying to avoid by keeping up the insecurity. Like, what is the worst thing that will happen? Dwell in it, relax in it, accept it, love it, flood it with gratitude, and you'll see that there was nothing to begin with. It's a mental construct that came in, you kept it up, you nurtured, nourished, let it be, and then at some point you don't need it anymore. And that's where it disappears, just because you looked at it and gave it full expression, brought the insecurity to the worst point to understand that it's not that bad.
There is a little energetic tool that I would like to share, how you can really release these insecurities that we are talking about. And it starts like what Evia says, you put yourself really in the situation that is completely triggering the insecurity that you have, and then you sit in this situation, you completely relax your body, all muscles, like you are feeling that the eyes are slowly falling towards the center of the head, around the mouth, completely relaxed, shoulders relaxed, and in this relaxed space, breathing in and connecting to your heart. So it's sitting as a witness in presence of your trigger, by being completely relaxed and observing it, is the energetic part of this exercise. Whenever you're able to completely relax and witness something that used to be unpleasant, it starts dissolving. And it's literally 1 minute of this meditation is enough to dissolve huge pent-up energies. So not escaping, sitting and being in complete acceptance of it in relaxed way.
Mm-hmm. And once you're done with yourself, you can start this exercise with people that you know, because we all see everybody else's insecurities, like very clear, crystal clear. For everyone else, we know it. And sometimes like it's very disturbing and we hate it because like, why can't you be authentic? Like, just be yourself. You want to shake up the person. So by bringing, compassion and acceptance of everybody else's insecurities the way they are, and trying not to empower them, but more give an opportunity for them to grow out of them. Yeah. If you notice some insecurities in other people that you really that are disturbing to you, don't just leave it and avoid it like the raw egg, but find a way. How can you create the field where the person could relax into their insecurities and understand that it's not a big deal. We're here to live, to collect experiences, and to get most out of every moment. We have no time to be insecure. It's really like, if we could weed that out, we would have so much more opportunities and things that we would allow ourselves to do.
Claudia, you have a hand up.
Hi everyone. I'm just, it's funny because this conversation comes in the right moment. Thank you for all your advice. I'm quite overwhelmed because I think I should tick the box for every insecurity that you've just spoken about. And so I'm quite triggered at the moment. But there's two things that come to mind. One is the mind creates your reality. So your outer world projects your inner world. Mm-hmm. So if you have strong insecurities, let's say to fit in, to be liked, I have received either from verbal abuse or either other people's fear of a secondhand embarrassment backlash at me so strongly that I just decided I pull back because I've tried many times. So my insecurity, it gets anchored really well because even though I tried, there is hits me in the face right at me and back again. And the other one is my son has shown back to me his insecurities and is basically my mirror. I could understand that today. And but at the same time, I'm quite confused. And how do you teach a child that they're walking the wrong path? They're kind of taking a detour into a kind of a negative state of consciousness or choosing, something that's not their highest light, and telling them how to tell them without judging them and saying, because I've become a preacher almost to this revelation of how he truly feels and how he truly faces the world, and I'm shocked. And for example, he chooses negativity over thinking positive thoughts, like everything is wrong, everything sucks. He's convenient, he's manipulative, and I'm going, oh my God, this is all me coming back at me. But at the same time, what do I say to him without judging him?
Yeah.
And putting back my mirror of insecurity to him, that please,
yeah,
this must be another way.
Yeah,
so
there is another way.
I am quite confused because I can work. I'm just, that's it.
There is another way. Another way, preaching is the thing that will never work. Preaching and giving compliments is just flaring up the issue. So it's not in that way. It's asking questions. If you want to really help someone get out of insecurity, ask questions. Like, why don't you want to go, why don't you want to go to the trip? I don't feel like. And why would you not feel like? It sounds like a cool idea to go to like a boat trip. Why don't you want to go? Yeah, I don't think it's my thing. Keep asking, keep asking and bringing what's the real reason underneath. What insecurity is preventing? And it can be so simple, so basic, and so kind of stupid in a way that you don't even imagine why people don't do things because of like ridiculous misinterpretation of reality. Yeah, I would love to give Zana's example, but I can't give it without her authorization. But it illustrates perfectly how, how sometimes we don't know why we say no. But if someone asks us, or we ask ourselves, why do I not do? Like, what exactly am I trying to avoid? What am I escaping? And breaking it down to the core, and the core will be the worst case scenario. Yeah? If you bring a person to their worst case scenario and make them feel comfortable in it, this is their way out.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. So we did a bit of shadow work this morning, and I said, so it turned out that he's a fear of survival. So it turned out to be death if and for not being seen or heard.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be, as a child, screaming for not being seen or heard, and then feeling that he would not eat because he was hungry, would not cry, nobody would pick me up, or this kind of thing. But it partly resolved, kind of thing. But we didn't. I just kept asking why, and I said, "Why you think it's so bad? Why? So I repeat his words with why, and it's like, because I'm gonna die, I'm like, oh wow. So these
Yeah.
so these are quite deep and ingrained beliefs. And I just want to say, and I guess I'm gonna open up and say something really, really, that it's really in my deep ingrained. Like, for me, it's when I was a child, my father would twist my nose until it was really painful, and he would say sorry, say you're sorry, and he would pick me up. He was crazy. He's a weird, wild guy, and he would twist my nose, and I would sing songs saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, so sorry. I would say so much sorry to him that I became apologetic. I became that in my world, I say sorry to everyone. And I see my son excusing his existence, and all my 4 kids actually. And there's I know guilt sticks in that I have not dealt with my insecurities. I'm the one who's insecure, not him. But they are deep, painful, traumatic. They are traumatic situations. So I don't know. I don't know. Do I have to do LSD to do that, to clear this? Because I don't think just by sitting in and looking at it, would I get it? I'll get it out. I mean, these are. I mean, they're heavy. Dude, I'm sure everyone has their own story. But even though I was gentle and aloof and superficial, things can be. Why would any human twist their kid's nose to tell them apologize for like 15 minutes? Anyway.
Because of their insecurities.
But yeah, sorry. I don't know why I have to tell you. But there it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's totally because of their insecurities. And this is when we are doing this kind of work. If you understand that people do those awful things because they are feeling terrified, and if you would disobey, it would threaten him in his authority. Yeah.
Because real powerful people, it's enough to speak, and actually very softly. They really don't have to even raise their voice, not to mention to use any physical force. Real power projects like this.
Exactly.
Those who don't, they have to yell, and those who still don't have any power, then they kind of start using the physical.
Exactly. My dad is super confident. He only had to raise eyebrows, and I got the situation, and I auto-corrected. He never raised anything else but eyebrows. And weak men, they use force because they are not strong enough inside. They don't have the inner power. So you can understand that everything that has been done to you damaging came from the other person's insecurities, and this is how the world holds together. Insecurities perpetuating themselves from parent to the child, from child to their child. So if you look at it really carefully, you will understand that everybody has done everything because of insecurities. Yeah, especially the wounding part. But okay, so you handed us the stick to bring the thought a little deeper. Yes, of course, we cannot fit the whole philosophy in 2 hours, but insecurities are just the flowers of the root is the death, fear of death, and fear of survival. Yeah, that's where everything comes from. But we can't really go straight to the fear of death, because we would miss the link of how it expresses in our daily life. So that's why we first look at our daily life, we examine insecurities to, of course, eventually come down to 4 core fears, which stem out of 1 core fear of death. And that's why...
Yeah, that's why this is our next course that we are actually preparing for you guys. So this is coming up to actually go deep and actually weed it out, because this is what's really holding back everything for everyone. And this is why...
Especially living life fully.
Exactly. And that's why like the stupid scenarios that we see in the world now are actually working.
Yeah.
Because they go down to, tickling that fear of death.
Mm-hmm.
So what we really kind of need to face as soon as possible, and we are like really conveniently avoiding the issue all throughout life, somehow kind of hoping that this is not going to happen to us. Or if it does, it's going to be quick and I'm not going to know anything about it. Well, guess what? We have to look into that to actually... weed that fear out.
Take it by the root.
And actually, as Pepe would say, fall in love with our death.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the best.
So that's part. The title of the course, starting on 4th of November. Falling in love with death, together with transformative music. Those of you who have experienced sacred sexuality, you know what that music does. So this one will be even next level amazing. And we will look at this scary thing that is kept behind the curtain and really sit in it until we are comfortable with the death, and it allows us to live fully, and we address every fear that prevents us from being fully and absolutely here.
And believe me, all the roots are there.
Mm-hmm.
From insecurities to fears to, blockages, all that stuff, all the beautiful stuff, the roots are there. So
voila, that's the news. We will of course announce it in more official form. This is really you're the first ones to ever hear about it, because we took decision 2 days ago with Pepe, so it's in the making. Save the date if you want. 4th of November it starts, and for something like 5-6 weeks, we'll see. And until then, tick the little boxes and delete them one by one. Life will get more fun, more easy. And remember, when you reach the stage where you can totally laugh about yourself, you've done something really good for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one more little announcement is that we are starting finally this Club of Life that we keep mentioning. So we are ready to actually share it with you guys. So you can check what we have ready for you at the website clubof.life. That's
Put the link
where we have. I will write the link here. So this is really putting together people like us that we can share about these things and actually, have like a voice of reason that is, creating a little community of reasonable people in unreasonable times. Yeah. So here it is. So clubof.life. There you go. So check it out, and then we are starting to gather cool people to be in a group of us so that we can share and live together and have fun together.
Yeah.
There you go.
So thank you for joining us. It's such a heartwarming pleasure to dive deep and examine reality and play around all together. And thank you. Happy full moon, and happy being authentic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was good today. It was really perfect timing to listen to you today.